I was teaching at one of the larger universities in the South, and one of the individuals said to me, Duke, could I take you to the airport? I need to talk about that cross of life. And I said, yes. So as we were driving to the airport, I said, well, tell me about your family. So he started telling me that really he didn't have any relationship with his father, and that, as a matter of fact, he really felt so bad toward his father because his father walked out on his family, I think, when he was about 19. No, that's not right. I think he walked out on the family when he was about 12 or 13. The next year, the father did get a Christmas gift and left it on the steps, and other than that, as I recall, he hadn't ever seen his father. He has now got 2 children that are 12 and 14 years old. So we obviously have about 25 years in there where he's had no contact with his father. And he made the statement to me, he said, I just hate my dad. I can't believe my children don't get the opportunity to know their grandfather. They know the grandfather on my wife's side, but they don't know him. And he said, you know, I know he's remarried and he's got other children. He said, I just hate him. And I said, so how much does it bother you? Well, I said, it doesn't bother me. I said, are you kidding me? You got me driving in a car because you want to talk about it. Of course it bothers you. I said, so what are you going to do about it? Well, he said, you know, I can't believe, since I heard your lecture, how much it keeps coming up. I go to bed at night thinking about it. I go to get up in the morning thinking about it. I said, well, would you like to get rid of it? He said, well, I'm not going to go see him and talk to him. I said, well, okay, so you don't want to get rid of it? Well, no, yeah, I know I do. I said, well, I got the answer if you want to know what it is. He said, oh, are you going to quote me a bunch of scripture? I said, no, I'm just going to tell you what you do. I said, where's he live? Well, he lives in Mississippi. I said, really? I said, well, how far is that from here? He says, well, it's about 4-hour drive, 200 miles. I said, well, here's what I think you ought to do. Unannounced, drive down to his house, knock on the door. When he opens the door, you ask him this question: Dad, will you forgive me for how I feel toward you since you walked out on the family? Now understand, you see, he's the one that did it. He says, Heller, you don't listen to anything I tell you. You expect me to drive down there. I haven't seen my dad in 25 years. Ask him to forgive me how I feel toward him? I said, yep. I said, until you get that burden off your shoulders, it's never going to go away. Obviously, time doesn't make it go away. Obviously, trying to not think about it doesn't work. Well, he said, I don't think that will ever happen. I said, well, it's up to you. Then you're going to live with it. And I promise you, there'll come times in conversations you will say things about your father your kids will pick up on, and your wife already knows it. So about 3 months later, I was back down there, and he said, can I take you back to the airport? And I said, yeah. He said, well, you know, I've been thinking about what you said, and do you really think I could get this off my mind if I would go and do as you say, ask him to forgive me how I feel toward him? I said, I sure do. I know it works. He said, okay, I'm going to do it next Saturday. So I said, I'll tell you what time are you going to get there? He said, well, I'll get there about 10 in the morning. I said, so you're going to leave at 6. You call me at 5:30. We'll pray on the phone together. Now, they didn't have cell phones back then. So at 5:30, he called. We prayed for quite a long time. I said, now you call me. He says, okay, I will. So about, I would say 12:30, 12:45, I get a telephone call. And he said, Duke, you are not going to believe what happened. I said, well, maybe I will. Try me. He said, well, I went and knocked on the door. And he said, I can't believe it. He said, it was a nice day. My hands are so sweaty. My forehead has got sweat coming off of it. He said, I can't believe I'm this nervous. And he said, all of a sudden this lady opens up the door, and I'm assuming that it's his wife. And she must have recognized me because she got this kind of funny look on her face. And she said, yes. And so I said, well, I'd like to speak to Harold, please. And she said, well, just a second, and closed the door. He said, now, Duke, I'm there standing on this porch. 60 seconds, 120 seconds, 180 seconds. I said to myself, God, if he doesn't come out of here within 5 minutes, that's 2 more minutes, I'm out of here and Heller's full of canal water. Well, he said, all of a sudden my dad opened the door, closed it quickly as he came out, said, what's wrong with you? Are you in trouble with the law? Do you need money? What's happening? Why are you here? I said, Dad, I'm here to ask you, will you forgive me how I feel toward you since you walked out on our family? He said, with that, my dad got this funny look on his face. He said, son, you're not the one that needs to ask for forgiveness. I need to ask. And he said he came over, he put his arm around me and bawled like a baby. And he said, finally we were hugging each other. He said, son, I've wanted to do this for years. I just didn't have the guts to do it like you are. So he said, come in and meet my wife. So they went in, he was introduced to the wife, introduced to his 2 kids, and he was there for a little over 2.5 hours. Today, when that father retired, he moved within 2 blocks of his son so they can play golf every Saturday. And now the grandfather's involved in his children's lives.